Okay, the gist is place tokens to claim things, I think. Yeah, that sounds easy enough.
Take a game like poker and you boil it down to its essentials, and it's basically a game about people reading and bluffing. It's an intimidating game to approach. Boy, when you get down to theme though, it's pretty dry. But I'm not opposed to sprucing it up a bit and maybe making it a bit more accessible. And that's exactly what Atlas Games has done with their new game, Cursed Court. In Cursed Court, players complete 3 rounds of play in which each player alternates placing crowns and chips on areas of the board, indicating which cards or sets of cards will show up in the course of the round. Each area on the board can only be held by one player, and chips are used to secure spots or bump someone off their already claimed spot. To begin, a card is dealt in between each player rather than directly to them. This means that players will share one card with the person on their left and another with the person on their right. Over the course of the round, 4 more cards will be revealed and placed in a grid matching the one on the board. Players earn points for controlling spots that correspond to which cards show up throughout the round, including the face-down cards between players. Now look, this certainly is a poker variant, and it's going to take a little bit to maybe convince someone that plays poker regularly to convince them to play this game. And this, I think, is where you can muster up a little bit of your bluffing skills by inviting some guys over for poker night, and then roping them into a medieval espionage game of deception. I think they'll like that. I think that's cool. And really, once you can get them to the table, there's a few things going on in this game, component-wise, that really blew me out of the water. The chips are really high quality. I mean, it's cool. It's hard plastic chips. It's similar to poker chips. The other notable aspect of the game is the crowns themselves. They are needle sharp, and honestly, it would just ruin your whole year if you ended up stepping on one of these. The cards themselves are not numbered or suited. They're pretty much just have characters on them. Which works really well. It takes that poker variant and simplifies it into a really nice looking, aesthetically pleasing form of the game that I've not experienced before. And then there's the board. The board works as a reference point for not only securing spots so that you can earn points throughout the course of the game, but also a quick reference of every single card that's in the game. To say that the theme is pasted on is an understatement, but it's still nice to have something to look at. And I think that's where this game knows what it's doing. I'm the kind of person that both enjoys poker and really thematic board games with solid art and components. Mix those two things together and consider my interest piqued. Now, that is something to consider. This game does away with the wagering aspect where each chip brings back a profit if you win. Rather, the chips themselves serve no purpose in terms of victory points other than maintaining your position on the board. And rather than scoring in tons of money, each spot is only going to earn you a certain amount of points each round. You may have all 20 of your chips on one spot, but that spot's only going to bring a maximum return of 4 points at the end of the round.
And that's just it. It's pure victory points that can be won and never lost. You won't end a round with less points than you started. This is a great board game, but if someone legitimately is looking for a gambling experience, this isn't going to cut it.
This is a game where the extreme emotional pulls of crushing defeat and overwhelming victory are removed, and you've got something much more balanced and emotionally middle ground, which is great for accessibility. It's great for introducing new people to this game, and it's great for making it interesting for someone throughout the entire course of the game. But it loses that little bit of magic that you do get in poker and in Texas Hold'em and any other variation of that game. But honestly, I don't want to compare this to poker too terribly much because it's a different game. And I think it's something that works maybe even a little bit better, especially for a more casual game night. I think it does a fantastic job of consolidating and streamlining that type of experience, both in terms of complexity and time commitment. This is a game that plays within 30 to 40 minutes and offers everything I could want. It's vital to be able to read a bluff. Your chips are limited, and while you get them back at the end of each round, it takes twice the amount to bump someone out of a spot. So if a player convinces you that it's worth bumping them, and it's really not, you've given them their chips back and locked up yours in the process. Gameplay is a breeze and so intuitive that the strategy bubbles to the top and would be boring if there weren't hidden information. But there is. And the beauty of that information is that you have to share what little knowledge you have with your neighbors. It's like sharing a secret with your worst enemy that's both informative and valuable, but also really annoying. Cursed Court offered me something I wasn't aware that I was looking for, and it's something I really recommend that you check out. I love the accessibility, and I love the components, and I love the gameplay.